Hello, comrades! Welcome back to Workers and Resources Soviet Republic, and straight away I need to say that this is going to be the finale of the current series. This game is absolutely not going away forever, but we're going to take a little bit of a break as we need to wait for some new content to come along over the course of the last two series that I've done on the channel, as well as a few little bits and bobs on the live stream. I feel like we've had a fairly grand old time in this game, and I'd like to say right now, thanks to everyone who supports me on Patreon. It is fantastic, and it means that I can do, you know, super long, like, hour videos of this game. So if you are indeed in a position where you may consider supporting me on Patreon, you're more than welcome to do that. You can head on over, link is in the description, etc, yada yada. Anyway, for the finale of this episode, I thought we'd do a couple of things. First of all, there's a few little optimizations that I want to make, and then I think we can just sort of talk about my thoughts with regards to the game and what should be improved going forward, because there's a couple of things that I really like, and then there's a couple of things that I really dislike. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to fix right off the bat was that we've still got all of these buses running to the Prozovsky bus platform over there, and I don't really think that these buses are necessary anymore. So I was just going to send them all back to the depot. Do we even have a depot remotely nearby? I don't think we do. I think I ditched it like ages and ages ago. Yeah, so let's get rid of that. I was also thinking, you know what? Maybe we can see if we can actually build a power plant. We've had that zone for about the last 15,000 years. So let's see if we can do it, shall we? All right, let me just get the road vehicle depot. There we go. Let's get that in there. And then let's get these 3 buses to go to it. Now, the logic there is, of course, that anyone who wants to go to the power plant can manage to get there via their own personalized car. I'm gonna let that bus unload. There we go. Or not, as the case may be, because there's no need to unload, as everyone who needs to be out over at the power plant already has the ability to get there in their own personal car. All right, so you go over here, and you are already en route. Okay, that's great. Part of the problem is that this iron ore processing plant isn't processing enough iron, because all of the workers are being siphoned off onto these copious orange buses, and it's just not really working. So we're going to try and fix it. Hopefully we're going to rectify it by just, yep, making a few little amendments here and there. Bus platform small. Yeah, that's right. That's where we want the people to be going. We don't want them to be going to the power plants. Yeah. For example, you. I would like, instead, you to go right over there and ditch that and go right over there. Right, so you can literally just turn right around and head back that way. Okay, cool. Cool. We've got not very much iron, and that is keeping us from creating a heck of a lot of steel. Yeah, we definitely need to try harder to get more steel up and running. I mean, look at this. We've got, what, almost 100 people. Probably 100 people as soon as this influx gets in. Well, maybe not 100, but 70, 74 or whatever. Certainly after that influx gets in there. Yeah, certainly a good number. A good number of people that are happy to make steel, or at least going to make steel, but none of them are really going for it. Anyway, yeah, so that was one of the amendments that I wanted to make. I wanted to get this power plant constructed as well. I was thinking, you know what, maybe we could sell some more power to outside countries. I think we probably want to try and sell some more power to the Soviet side. Yeah, we'll probably try and do that pretty soon. Yeah, I mean, we could buy like a small little customs house or a power transformer point. I think that's probably what I'll do, just to sort of simulate the effort of building thousands and thousands of pylons across the world. By the way, for anyone that is wondering, I have now found out how you can create Russian ruble customs houses or American dollar customs houses. Right, it all depends entirely on where the customs house is located. So, if it is located nearer the NATO border, the western border, then it will become a dollar customs house. And if it is located nearer the Soviet border, then it will become a ruble customs house. It's literally that simple. So there you go. Anyway, I think on the whole, I mean, I could probably afford to take all of the take the power cables across to the other side of the map and, you know, link it on up to power point. There's probably another power point over here somewhere, is there? You know what? Let's not do a customs house. I can do it manually. That's not a problem. Let's see how much I'm gonna be quoted for in order to do that. We're gonna, of course, need 2 power points, aren't we? Well, I say that. Don't auto build. Let's do this manually. Yeah, we'll get this all set up. Set it all up like this. Okay. So, right, how much is that going to cost? That's going to cost 100 and something thousand rubles. And then the other power point that we can link it up to maybe is one on the NATO border. That's already got maximum capacity. Okay, so that is not happening. That is not happening at all. Not going to happen at all. But that will actually bring me on to one of the things that I want to talk about, actually. One of the things that I think should be changed for good is the way that buildings are currently constructed through the construction office, and especially construction through the rail construction office, is just garbage. I mean, look, this is the entire operation that I've set up to build rails, and it doesn't even work. You can't even build rails. It's just not possible. Should we just try to build like a bit of rail again, and we'll build it somewhat closer. I mean, remember we tried to build the entirety of this with the rail construction office, and that was just a miserable affair. So what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and set up a brand new, excuse me? There we go. Okay, a brand new track to nowhere. We need gravel, we need boards, and we need steel. Let's do it. Start construction. Let's get it assigned. Let's see if this indeed actually works. I think that we should have absolutely everything that we could possibly need in order to make this work. Let's get a construction assigned. There we go. And a train should be dispatched pretty much with all of the required materials right there and then. Okay, now let's see if it actually works. It might have been improved somewhat since the last time we looked at it, but as of yet, I have yet to test it. Okay, let's go and get this power plant linked up, shall we? Can't build due to infrastructure below. Okay, this could be a problem. In fact, no, it's not, because I've already foreseen this. I've already sorted everything out. There we go. Literally that simple. Okay. What do you know? Right, I think this should be within walking distance of the car park. It's definitely within walking distance of one car park. It's not within walking distance of the other car park, unfortunately. So, let's ditch the bus platform. There shouldn't be any related vehicles. Or if they are related, they should be all in the depot at the moment. Indeed they are. Let's demolish the building then. And let's replace it with a personal car park. Now, that actually brings me nicely on. It's almost like I planned this, eh? This brings me nicely on to the next point of discussion, which is personal transport and how unbelievably garbage it is. It is very, very bad. And I mean that not in terms of the idea of it. I mean, the idea that everyone can own a car is very, very good. That's a very, very positive thing. However, the fact that everyone now has to drive, then walk to work, then walk back, it takes such a long time that it actually means you waste a ridiculous amount of time getting from place to place. And so it is much more efficient just to bus workers in, because then they just despawn and sort of disappear back to their own homes. Here we go. Let's get this all up and running. Perfect. Great. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. I'm very, very much hopeful that a bunch of the cars that are going to come and park over here will be able to walk to this power plant, and that's going to be good. Now, as I said, I am going to, just because I want to more than anything else. I mean, I could do it. I could absolutely build power pylons across the entirety of the map. However, I kind of want to stick in a foreign power connection. Let's do it. Let's test this, shall we? I don't know if this is the right thing, but we're gonna do it. Okay, let's put that in there. Okay, that's perfect. That's exporting rubles. We want to export rubles. In fact, I want 2 foreign power connections. Again, this is purely scientific experimentation here. And what we need to do is we need to get a high voltage switch. There we go. That goes in there. That goes in there. And then we connect this up like so. Okay, let's get that all done. And then let's see if we start to make any money. Let me have a look. Export. Right, so we'll export 100% over there and then 30% over here. And that will be our entire production, I believe. Well, technically we can go up to 1,400. So we'll do that then. All right. That looks like we're making money, although I highly suspect that it's probably a train just unloading at the border. Oh, look. Oh, look, this is actually working a heck of a lot better than it was working last time. If I put in a... Oh, no, that messed everything up. Oh, no, what did I do? I think something just happened. I don't know where that train went. I put in a signal and that created a monster. Right. Okay, looks like another train is being dispatched to try and build the road. That's something at least. I mean, this maybe looks like there's been some sort of improvement since last time. Again, it's kind of like the personalized car thing. The personalized cars are really bad because it means that the people have to travel on a natural journey, i.e. they have to park up, they have to walk to work, they have to walk back to their car, they have to drive back to their house. Same with this train. That sort of suffers from a similar sort of problem. Whereas if it just despawns and disappears back to the rail construction office, then that's, I guess that's just different. It's a different sort of system. Okay, how are we doing for iron? Are we processing iron at a faster rate at the moment? 3 out of 15 workers is a pretty miserable number of workers, to be honest. This is a further issue with personalized cars. If you have personalized cars, then that means that the number of workers you have decreases. The number of workers going to a bus platform decreases, and that is not ideal. Not ideal at all. But it seems to be working out. It seems to be working out not too bad. Okay, maybe my ruble influx is due to power? No, it's not. It's due to the fact that I'm unloading thousands and thousands of tons of fuel. Okay, fine. I'm going to see if I can try and reconnect this oil pipeline. I mean, I know I sort of had a little bit of a temper tantrum and just decided not to do it. But you know what? If ever there was a time for forgiveness, it would be now, right? It would be now. It would be here on the last episode of the series. There we go. There we go. Wonderful. Okay, so that only cost like 100,000 rubles. But it did indeed work, and that's at least something. Okay, can we connect up these last few oil pipelines, which seem to not be doing very much around here? Also, can I skip forward to the next day? And that actually nicely brings me on to the next point that I wanted to discuss. This game and the fact that it is pretty badly optimized. I'm honestly, I mean, it's fine. I'm not angry about it or anything. It's just a little bit of an annoyance. But I mean, you can kind of forgive the game, given that it is in early access, or you know, whatever it is, pre-release. So I'm not really complaining about that too much. It's just something to note. If you don't have a sufficiently beefy computer, then I can imagine this game being a total nightmare. There we go. Okay. Any more oil bits and bobs to connect up? I don't think so. I think we actually did a pretty darn good job of covering all of our oil field. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It worked out pretty darn well, to be honest. We just need to start selling more oil from the beginning, I think, because, you know, processing obviously makes oil and makes fuel and bitumen, which is great, but it's just a bit of a faff to make. Anyway, that's something to consider. Anyway, the other thing that I wanted to chat about was steel, right? Now, steel at the moment is pretty darn difficult to make. I mean that in the sense of consumption at maximum production is, I mean, 375 tons of coal to 200 tons of iron, which for a start means that you need almost double the amount of iron, double the amount of coal to iron that you need in order to make steel, which is a massive, massive pain. But think about it. I've had, like, at least 150 people in the steel mill for ages, and I never, ever felt like I was making anywhere near enough steel. I mean, I haven't been making enough steel. I've never put, like, my own steel into any other yard apart from the railway yard. See, now, here's the other problem. You're lost. You're lost. You're totally lost. You see that? Because you can't go against the grain. This is another problem. You know, the game incentivizes you to make these massive sort of circular train network structures, and this bad boy can't handle them. Which isn't too good. Right. Will this work? Okay, I've got a plan. I've got a plan to rescue this train. Right. Give me something like this. How about, yeah, something like that. Will that work? There we go. Don't even talk to me about terrain modification. That's another thing on my list that needs to change. Because this, having a look at the wireframe is not a great way of going about doing things. It sounds like I'm really ragging on this game, but I absolutely love it. I really do. You wouldn't think, but I actually really do. Okay. I need to get this to be more even. I need to just get it to fall at a slightly slower pace. Okay, no, that's not working. Yeah, there's a little bit of a height problem here. Okay. Try this. Oh. There we go. That's pretty darn good. And over here. And over here. This is literally all in an effort to try and save this one single train. Right. I'm auto building all of that in order to... Okay. Okay, so now this is going to be the third rail train, by the way, that's going to be redispatched. It's going to be redispatched to this area. Is it going to be able to get back home now? I sure hope so. If I put a signal here, will that mess everything up? Nope, looks good to me. Okay, great. So this train is going to continue to build all of the track out. That's perfect. All right, great. Happy days. Happy days. Looks like I'm still making a few rubles as well, which is very, very nice. Yeah. No, and anyway, as I was saying, it sounds like I'm ragging on the game. I'm absolutely not. I love it. I love city building games. I love strategy games. That's my jam, you know? Absolutely adore them. However, this game is really, really close to being, you know, absolutely perfect. And I think if the developers nail down just like a few features, it'll be fantastic. It'll be one of the greats. Yeah, it'll be one of the greats. Anyway, yeah, so steel is ridiculously hard to make. And, well, it's not necessarily that it's hard. It's more that it's not rewarding. It's like, why would anyone ever make steel when you can make oil? Oil is so easy to make. You just get a couple of oil wells, you get one building, you get 2 outputs, and you drive the output to the border, right? Steel, right? Let's think about the steel production process, right? So you have to set up a Sudi Tudi town or an Irongrad, right? An Irongrad and something like that. Anyway, like an extraction area where you have a mine in, which in itself can take up to 250 people. And unless you get the mine right on a super high quality source, it's useless and it'll take ages. I mean, even at a 58% source, I mean that's not the best, but that's good enough. But the point is that if you get it anywhere lower, it's just not worth it. It's just absolutely not worth it. Let's empty the whole storage to see. Yeah, so that's 31 tons a day, right? 31 tons a day with 13 people, with 13 people. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'd take that. That's very, very good. But you see, the thing is that can probably only support a train. Like a train, and this train carries 660 tons of iron ore. So that can only support a train a day. So 21 workers at a 58% source supports maybe a train a day. Maybe give or take. But the point is, so that's the first stage of the process, and then this is all the stuff that you need to get set up, because let's be real, you're not going to use trucks to transport. You're not going to use trucks to transport iron ore if you've got fuel turned on, because otherwise they're going to have to be stopping every like 30 meters during the transport. So you have to do it by train. And so after train, after you've extracted it, you load it on. You've got to come over here. You've got to build an aggregate unloading. Then you've got to build a storage, right? And then you've got to build an ore processing plant, which is a massive faff. However, it does, on the plus side, only require 15 workers. I think that that's a massive plus, and I think that the developers are absolutely right to do that. Keep it low. That's exactly what you want. However, because it's so low, you can often fall into this little trap where if you're busting the people in, you just don't end up having enough people on the buses. Anyway, so that's that. Then you have to go to another storage. You don't have to go to a storage. You could go directly to a loading train. I mean, to be honest, this storage, not really necessary. It's just good to have sort of a redundant storage so that you are always producing. Always be producing. You know, that's the sort of motto. And if you have a storage at both sides, then that means that you can always be producing and you're not relying on the trains. Anyway, and then you need to go to another aggregate loading, right? Unless you want to have this directly behind the steel factory, which you could do, but it's just going to be a massive faff because I mean, look at the size, look at the area that this thing takes up. The ore processing plant, as much as it is, you know, as much as it requires a small number of workers to operate, the footprint is bloomin' huge. It is absolutely gargantuan. So you got to be very, very careful about where you build it. I mean, think of the problems that we had over here, right? When I was trying to build out the additional, well, whatever it was, 3 coal processing plants, 3 coal ore processing plants. When I was doing that, it was a massive faff, and we had to redraw stuff. But that was only possible because I'd sort of kept the space free and that it wasn't occupied. It's very, very difficult in this game to sort of go back and try and squeeze some extra buildings into a place where you didn't want to squeeze them. So that's one of the sort of key things that I've learned between my playthroughs. In the first playthrough, I didn't really respect space. However, in this series, I absolutely have. Are you stuck again? See, look at this. How is this possible? How is this possible? I'm so surprised. Right. Don't auto build. Don't auto build. Just, I'm trying to find stuff for this train to do. But you're still stuck, aren't you? You're still stuck. You miserable sod. Okay. There you go. Let's assign some more construction stuff. I'm trying to demonstrate exactly how unbelievably useless this whole process is. So you're gonna manage to get all the way over here, and then you're gonna get stuck, and then it's just gonna It's just going to become a nightmare. Just going to become a total nightmare. Anyway, yes, where was I? Anyway, yes, I was talking about the footprint on the production process of getting steel. Yeah, so you've got to have all of this, and it's probable that you'll want to have this in a different location from where your steel mill is, because, I mean, of the sheer amount of space that is actually required to make it happen. I need to click on that little button there. All right, so then you want to go right on over to the steel mill, and because of the amount of resources that you're going to want to have, you might want to have an aggregate unloading, although, in fairness to you, you could just have a regular steel mill, because, I mean, the steel mill has got 3 tracks. Now, I think that in future, if I was to do this again, what I would probably do is I would probably, honestly, just ditch the open storage at the back, and I would ditch these 2 storages as well. I mean, in fact, we still probably could do that if I wanted to redo it. Yeah, so instead of going to the aggregate unloading and getting it stored, we will instead go right into the steel mill. There we go, and we will unload 100% of coal. There we go. So yeah, as I say, if I was to do this again, I would probably do it this way. There we go. So you can go to the coal. Primarily because as much as it is good to have a redundant storage, i.e. you unload from the aggregate unloading into the storage, that stores 950 tons, and then there was another 400 tons on that train right there. The fact that, you know, a train can store up to 660 tons of coal and iron, that's a totally fine quantity of coal, and you can just leave that parked inside the steel mill, and that'll be totally fine. Right, why is our iron not processing? Our iron is not processing because we don't have enough dudes over here. This is the problem. This is part of the problem. Anyway, let's in fact, you know what, let's fix that. Let's fix this first, and then we can go back to talking about steel production and all of that nonsense. 51 workers, flats. I'm gonna build a bespoke flat right here. There we go. There we go. Fantastic. Just get as many people as possible and tell them all to work. This is a bad idea, by the way. Oh, hold on. That's too far away. Oh, it's not even possible. All right, then. Well, there's a connection right over here. Is this even going to be possible? Is this going to be possible? It is! Hooray! Okay, great. Right. Everyone works there. 100% of everyone works there. Okay. So that should be more than enough people to get the iron going. And the iron, as I just said, is going to come direct this time. So we're going to delete that and replace it with that. Steel mill, nope. Wait until unloaded. Iron, perfect. There we go. And unload right there. Okay. Good stuff. Very, very good stuff. Pretty happy about that. And you, I mean, look at how much steel we're making. Not much at all. Go to the next storage. Go to the next stage. Sure. You can pick up a little bit of steel as well. You can pick up a little bit of steel. I just want to clear the way. Clear the way for the trains that are going to unload the coal and the iron. Anyway, yes, so that's that. After this, you get your steel. After you add the iron, after you add the coal, you get the steel. Then it just so happens that you need 500 workers in order to get the maximum production of steel in the steel mill. Now, as I was saying earlier, we probably had, I don't know, like 150 at some point. In fact, we could probably adjust that. I mean, we could probably maybe get 300, 400 workers at the steel mill. In fact, why don't we do that? Let's bump up the percentage of people that work at the steel mill. Let's put it right up to about as high as we possibly can. There we go. Steel mill, it's 50-50 from that bus platform. Fine. Right. So let's try and fill the steel mill with as many people as we possibly can. And we'll see if it works. Okay. the problem is with this is that the amount of coal and the amount of iron that this thing consumes is obscene. I mean, 200 tons of iron. 200 tons of iron. That is a third of a train. That is a third of a train in a day. And then coal is double that. That's like, it's 2/3 of a train. Okay, so that's us with 300 workers. 300 workers, right, in the steel mill. And maybe about to hit 350, maybe almost up to 400. Yeah, well, very, very close to 400 anyway. And the point is that we are absolutely going through our resources. And it doesn't really feel like we're getting that much steel. Look at that. I mean, at maximum, 40 tons of steel. That's just not that much. That is just not that much. I mean, how much would it take for me to build... I mean, it takes 3 tons of steel just to build that tiny little bit of railway. And that's already half built. You know, if I wanted to build... If I wanted to build that length of track, that's 10 tons of steel. That's a quarter of an entire day's production. I feel that needs to be changed. Yeah. Also, see here, this is just ridiculous. All right, look, just fund that construction. Everyone is waiting around. The track building is a joke. It is not good at all. It needs to be changed. The rail construction office does definitely need to be changed. Okay, so that's one of the other things that I really intensely dislike. Now we're missing coal again. We're missing coal again because of our stupid attempt to try and build some track. But we're gonna fix that in just a second. It looks like that's not you. How are we doing for coal over here? We're not actually doing too bad for coal. We're doing good for coal. I kind of like this setup that we ended up having. You know, where we have 2 aggregate loadings and then one storage is just for power, basically. Like, this entire production process, refining process is literally just for this area over here. It works. I'm pretty happy with the way that area has ended up. Okay, so that's another one of my gripes done with. But yeah, steel, that is a big one. I mean, how many times have I said, oh, you know, rather than buying the steel in, I'm just gonna buy it myself. I'm just gonna use my own steel. Never, because it's a complete faff to do. It is an absolute faff, and it's almost never worth it. And the expense just doesn't matter. If you just get oil, if you get oil at the very beginning of the game, and then you sell that oil, and then you use the proceeds to buy whatever the heck you want, you're saving so much time, you're saving so much effort, you're saving so much energy. It's great. That's what you got to do. See, look, now we're out of iron. Now we are out of iron. This is a big old problem here. Is this an iron train? That's a Sooty Tooty Town train. That's okay. Where's our iron train? Our iron train is here. Okay. We still need to do more. 9 workers without a job. Wow, that's a shame, isn't it? Okay. Does that make a difference? There we go. Okay, readjust that. Yeah, so I've added a couple more workers over there. Not like that'll really make a difference, but it is what it is. Okay. So that's sort of ticking along nicely. That's great. Eventually, I'm sure we'll start to make steel again. One of these days, maybe. It might just happen. Anyway, you know, the point that I'm really just trying to hammer home here is that why is steel so darned difficult? Well, not difficult, but why is steel so darned complex when oil is so darned easy, right? I mean, oil is literally oil. That's it. That's it. And, you know, you can get so unbelievably, fantastically rich off it. But anyway, so that's that. So that's steel. And then another thing which I very, very much hope is changed in the future is vehicles, right? Is vehicles and vehicle production. So I've already talked about personal vehicles and how I think that they need to be changed and improved. I mean, the way to change personal vehicles, in my opinion, would be you need to make it so that when you drop people off, like off the bus, right? So if you take workers from their flat to their place of work, then you need to take them back. They can't just despawn right back to their house, because then that disadvantages the regular the regular driving cars. You know, driving cars should be an improvement, but it's actually worse. It's actually worse. So that needs to change. The other thing that needs to change, right, is the value of cars and the value at which you can sell them, right? So when we originally were making the pathetic little whatever they were, what are they? Yeah, the F126P, right? I mean, they sell for like 700 rubles, nothing, almost a minimal amount. But, you know, you can't really do anything with them other than just give them to your population, which is, well, meaningless and waste of time anyway, but whatever. But the point is that I'd certainly expect, like, end-game technology. I mean, look, even this little car, right? This little car requires 42 workdays. Fine. We got an unlimited number of workdays. Half a ton of steel, a very little bit of plastic, a very tiny bit of plastic, a very tiny bit of fabric, a very... very small amount of mechanical components, and a tiny amount of electronic components, right? So it requires all of these things, like some of these things, which are really complex to build, like electronic components, for example. You can't actually build without, I think mechanical components as well, actually. You can't actually build without first researching them at a university. So even this little tiny car that is a, you know, utterly trash, you still need all of the late game technology in order to make it. So the point that I'm trying to ride home here is that if you build these end game technologies, right? You build them, they're, you know, they have really complex assembly processes. I mean, you got to think about it, right? The car. I mean, you've watched this series. You've watched this series with me. Think of the complex nature of the supply chain for this factory here. It is insane. You know, plastics are, I mean, let's go through it. Let's go through it all, like, from the start. So plastics are, first of all, chemicals, and chemicals are in themselves gravel, wood, and oil, and crops as well, right? Then they go to the plastics factory, and the plastics factory is just chemicals and then more oil, and then they go to the vehicle production line, right? Over here. Steel is an intensely complex process, which we've already talked about. Plastics, we just talked about. Fabric is another really complex process, right? So fabric is, in the first instance, crops and chemicals. Chemicals is what we've already talked about. I mean, let's even talk about crops. Crops are a massive pain to do. The sheer amount of space that you need in order to get a consistent amount of crop production, very large indeed. Very large indeed. And that's not even mentioning mechanical components, which are, well, actually one of the simplest bits of the vehicle process, because mechanical components are literally just steel. So mechanical components, actually not too darn difficult. Actually not difficult at all, right? Electronic components, massive pain. Electronic components are, hold on, it's this one first. Yes. No. Yes. So electronic components are plastics, steel, and chemicals, all of which are very advanced things. And then further on to that, electronics, right? Electronics are electronic components, plastics, and mechanical components. So think of all of the supply chains. Think of all of the production lines that we've had to sort of bring together in order to make this area work. And then put it all into one single factory, right? And I feel that the amount of money that you get from, you know, late game vehicles, it's just pretty miserable, to be honest. It's just pretty darn miserable. Now, there is, in fact, apparently a very good one to get. The best template apparently to get is the paver. I think the asphalt paver is the best because the empty weight is very low, and you can sell it for about 60,000. I think was it 16 or 60,000? I can't remember. But you can sell it for a bunch of rubles, and apparently that's the best sort of weight to value ratio that you can build. But the point is that none of them are particularly good, because you can't really sell them for very much. That's the unfortunate reality, is that they're all pretty darn cheap. I mean, we've sold a bunch of cars, and, you know, a bunch of vehicles, and, you know, we've made a bunch of money, but it's just not that great. It's it's just not that great. I feel like it should be a heck of a lot more, given how unbelievably complex it is to make vehicles. And given that, I mean, we're, what, like 40 hours into this campaign or something? I mean, 30 of those hours on camera, and then a couple of hours sort of off camera, forwarding through things and fast forwarding through time and building a few extra bits and bobs. I just feel like in order for the game to be balanced, right? You can't have something like the vehicle production line, which is just gives you like no money, and then you also have like the oil refinery, which gives you a ridiculous amount of money, like straight from the very beginning with just one single input. I mean, this requires so many complex inputs, this requires one input, and this makes so much more money, and it's easy as well. Anyway, I feel like I'm ranting. I really that's not the vibe that I'm sort of going for. Okay, we're still missing iron over here apparently. Why is this happening? Okay, where is the iron train? Hold up, what's going on here? The iron train is stuck in traffic. It's stuck in traffic because of this this daft little thing that I've done over here. This unbelievably useless bit of track, which I used to show off that. Okay, fine. All right, that's okay. Anyway, let's see how this iron train goes. To be honest, I feel like I should probably buy another iron train. Yeah, I mean, I've only got one coal train. But I should maybe think about getting a second coal train for the steel mill and a second iron train as well. But anyway, yes, if I was doing this whole setup again, I'd probably just give this this a miss, to be honest. You're probably fine if you just get multiple coal trains, multiple iron trains. Suspect that might just be fine. We do definitely need to get another coal train. All right, that's a plan. Let's get another coal train. And you know what? I'm going to get another coal train, and it's going to be a coal train that goes directly to... let's get a nice expensive one as well. Nice. We'll get it to go to the coal power loading station. That doesn't really make sense, but you'll understand exactly what I mean in just a second. Hopper, no. We haven't even touched cement or asphalt or anything really in this series. Okay, so copy, paste. Right, and instead of going to aggregate loading, I want to take that off there. And that diesel station can go, as that's pretty much not necessary. Yeah, I want to go here. And load, wait until loaded, 100% of coal. Okay. There we go. So, the interesting thing is that I'm going to be drawing down on our power supplies rather than drawing down on our regular supplies. Although maybe that's not a super smart idea, given that we now need our power supplies more so than ever. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna literally just undo exactly what I just did there. Okay, so I instead want you to go to here. Yeah. There. You know what? The good thing is that we've got options, right? We've got options. We have options on where we want to go, because at least there was some foresight involved in the planning process, which, you know, I think on the whole I'm really happy with how this map turned out. I tell you what though, some of the extra sort of difficulty features, such as fuel. And the education. Well, education especially. I'm not going to complain about the fuel process too much. I actually think that the fuel process is really cool. I like the fact how you can, you know, make fuel in an oil refinery and then sort of move it around via tanker to all of the individual little gas stations. I think that's legit. What I don't think is so legit is the education attrition that seems to happen at a ridiculously rapid rate. I'm never really sure why everyone seems to be uneducated. But it seems to happen with, like, incredible regularity. I don't know why. It just is really difficult to find school places for absolutely everyone. Maybe that's just with the way that I'm playing. Maybe I haven't prioritized sort of school and kindergarten and education enough. But I feel like I've not done too badly. I feel like I've tried my best to get as much as much sort of schooling in as possible. And even then, I feel like it's been really, really challenging. Certainly, it's not possible. It's not possible without a university to ensure that your population is educated. But even then, it's quite a time-consuming and difficult process to train them up and make sure that they actually are educated. So I can have a little look at the population stats over here. Yeah, so no education is roughly the same. We'll go for this year, shall we? Yeah, we're about halfway through the year. No education is slowly but surely... No, in fact, no, it's not even doing anything. That's the red line. And it's sort of sticking right in the middle. The good news is that basic education is actually decreasing, but it's increasing. Yeah, it's increasing to... It's decreasing because university education is increasing so rapidly. I mean, look at that. We've almost doubled. In fact, I think we've actually done better than doubled. The number of people educated this year. Yeah, we're definitely making a difference there. Slowly but surely, it is indeed happening. Yeah, so I can be pretty darn happy about that. But the point is that you need to have a university in order to make it work. Okay, coal train. Where's our next train of coal coming from? It is indeed coming. And you. Yeah, this is a real issue here. Okay, let's go over here. And let's get you to go over here as well. Great. And then I want to see if I can try and take this back a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to try and run a railway parallel along here. Yeah, let's see if this works. We'll give it a shot. Nice. Okay, and just disconnect. Disconnect this over here. I probably should have done this a long time ago, but it's all right. Better late than never, eh? Okay. Angle of connection is too sharp. Cool. Get that stretching back right over there. Okay, great. And then can't place signal there. Can't place signal there. Can't place signal there. Can't place a signal there. Where can I actually place a signal? Over here. Okay, good. Well, that's something at least. I don't know if that's going to make a single bit of difference. I guess we'll see when we next have three trains waiting to pick up fuel and bitumen. Anyway, are we making much steel? I really still don't feel like we're making that much steel. I mean, 40 tons of steel per day. I mean, it's more than we've made previously, but it still just doesn't feel like that much. I'm sorry, but it's true. And look at that. Look at that coal. We just go through coal like there's absolutely no tomorrow. Is this the coal train? That's not the coal train. Ditch the diesel station for now. Or is that the coal train? No, that's not the coal train. This is the coal train. Yeah, no, we can't process the coal fast enough. That is a bit of a problem. Well, you know, at least we've had a bit of a positive impact. At least we've increased our. Let's get that built. We've increased the amount of coal that we're getting processed, which is quite good. We're about to increase it somewhat further. There we go. Building is in the way. Here we go. Invite a whole bunch of people. 2 places of work. 50% each. Grand. Right. Are they all going to work? I do indeed hope so. I'm not super bothered about getting them schools or providing them facilities, given that the rest of the series and the rest of The rest of their existence will be about 10 minutes. So there you go. Yeah. No, definitely need more workers over here. This system has been well, it was working for a large amount of time, but now it's just not. Also, something else to talk about, the sheer amount of attrition, right? Like people attrition, like living in flats if they don't get the resources that they need, is wild. Absolutely wild. I know I've got it on hard or whatever it is. I think it's on hard anyway. That is probably why it is so challenging. However, I still feel like it's a little bit OTT, you know? Yes, you're going to go and fill up with fuel first, and then head out. Cool. Yeah, again, just like, it's just not that much coal. I mean, it is an absolute pain to get 100% of the coal, but bloomin' heck, it just feels tough. And this, I don't know, steel doesn't feel like it's a late game resource. It's, you know, it's a resource that's literally required to build absolutely everything. So it should be relatively within the realm of possibility to make. And I just am not managing. Tell you what though, we are doing a stellar job of making sure that all of our power plants are constantly producing. That is part of the reason why I am financially completely okay. I did indeed sort of keep all of this space free for way more power plants. To be honest, I could still probably do it, but it worked out all right in the end. It worked out all right in the end with just 3. It was sort of this one providing most of our power, this one providing a little bit of our power, and then this one providing pure export. That's something else that I hope will be added in time, and something that that may cause me to revisit the game at a future date is nuclear power, right? So, you know, I don't want to say Chernobyl-esque, but I mean, it would be really, really cool if you could build a nuclear reactor, mine and process uranium. If I was a betting man, if I was a gambling man, I would wager that will certainly happen. But I just don't know when. I mean, there's so much that you can do with this game, right? There's so much. And I'm super, super hyped about it. Okay, the coal is now being processed fairly quickly. That's great. We've got loads and loads of coal in the storage. We've got 2 trains worth of coal over here. Yeah, that's looking good. Which is the train that goes to our steel mill? Well, you're going to the steel mill. Yeah, wow. Can you imagine the footprint, right? If we had like 8 of these, can you imagine how big the footprint would be? From like here to here. It'd be crazy. It'd be absolutely bonkers. So this is a really, really big building, but maximum production, 120 tons of coal per day? That's not that much. That's not that much. Think about it. This thing eats 375 tons in a day. So you would need 3. You need 3 core ore processing plants working at 100% production, right? In order to supply just one steel mill, and that's disregarding the fact that, you know, we have power plants to supply, and I'm sure there's a few other bits and bobs that rely on the coal, but it doesn't matter. That's crazy. That's crazy. We need 3. How bonkers? How unbelievably bonkers? Yeah, so I feel like I've given a pretty critical overview, actually, but I want to sort of repeat. I really like this game. I think this game is absolutely fantastic. I adore it. I think I've had a very, very good time in this game. This game has been very good to me. I've absolutely adored every single second that I've played of it. It's one of those games that I could really just play forever and ever and ever and ever. And it's funny in that sense, because a lot of the games you play, you know, or I play anyway, you know, you play them for a bit, and then you're like, oh my god, I don't want to play. You know, you just reach a point where you've become sort of saturated. But this game's got it all. This game has got it all, and I think that's part of the appeal, right? The fact of the matter is that you can make your own education system. You can make your own transport networks. You can make your own exporting networks. You can make your own oil pipelines. You know, that's what you do. It's great. It's like the ultimate city building game in a Soviet setting as well. So it's really, really fun. You know, I think on that note, that's probably a pretty darn good place to finish the episode off. As I say, we're definitely going to be returning to this game. We're definitely going to be returning, probably not to this save. I think this is probably the last that we will see of the save. So, I mean, feast your eyes. Feast your eyes on what is a truly, truly fantastically large map, a fantastically large effort. Look at that. 210 tons of oil and only 7,000 rubles. Rip-off. Total rip-off. Doesn't matter. I mean, this is one of the most formidable projects. The most formidable projects. I mean, terraforming this area, absolutely crazy. Took absolutely ages as well. But yeah, I mean, what a great game. What a great map. What a lovely time to be alive. Everything's good in the Soviet Republic. For the last time, at least for now, comrades, I'm going to say thank you very, very much for watching. It's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to have you alongside me in this series. It's been great. We've had a great time, and I very much hope that we can do it again very soon. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll see you next time. Bye.